Have you ever felt underestimated, judged by where you come from or the accent you have? Well, today we're talking about a group of heroes who faced exactly that and didn't just prove their critics wrong, they changed the world. This is the incredible, untold story of the Filipino nurses who pioneered modern open-heart surgery. Let's rewind to the 1950s. The world was on the cusp of a medical revolution. Doctors were racing to figure out how to operate on a live, beating heart. It was the final frontier of surgery. The problem? It couldn't just cut into a heart while it was pumping blood. You needed a way to stop it, fix it, and then restart it, all while keeping the patient alive. This is where the heart-lung machine comes in. Think of it as an artificial heart and set of lungs outside the body. It takes over, pumping and oxygenating the blood so surgeons can work on a still, bloodless heart. It was a brilliant idea, but in the 50s, it was more science fiction than reality. The early machines were clunky, unreliable, and incredibly difficult to operate. Enter the University of Minnesota Medical Center, a hub of innovation led by the legendary Dr. C. Walton Lillihei, often called the father of open-heart surgery. Dr. Lillihei was brilliant, but he knew he couldn't do it alone. He needed a team, a very special team. At the same time, thousands of miles away in the Philippines, a new generation of highly educated and ambitious nurses was emerging. Thanks to an international exchange program, many of them were heading to the United States for advanced training. They were eager, skilled, and ready to learn. So, when Dr. Lillihei needed people to run his experimental heart-lung machines, he looked right past the established American-born hospital staff. Why? Well, some accounts suggest the local staff were hesitant. They saw these new machines as complex, risky, and maybe even a little scary. This was uncharted territory. But the Filipino nurses, they saw an opportunity. They didn't have preconceived notions about what was impossible. They just saw a problem that needed solving and a chance to be part of something groundbreaking. Dr. Lillihei recognized their potential. He saw their meticulous attention to detail, their calm under pressure, and their incredible work ethic. He decided to take a chance and put them in charge of the most critical piece of equipment in the operating room. Now, this decision was not without controversy. Let's be honest, there was a lot of prejudice back then. Many in the medical community looked down on these nurses, so they were seen as coming from a developing country, and some openly questioned if they had the modern training necessary for such a complex task. They were underestimated, dismissed, and faced skepticism at every turn. Their accents were mimicked, their skills doubted. But in the operating room, where lives were on the line, none of that mattered. The Filipino nurses, affectionately nicknamed the Minnesota Pumping Gophers, proved to be absolute masters of the heart-lung machine. Imagine the scene. The operating room is tense. A child's life hangs in the balance. The surgeon makes the final cut, and all eyes turn to the nurse operating the pump. She has to manage blood flow, oxygen levels, temperature, and a dozen other variables with absolute precision. One wrong move, one moment of hesitation, and the patient could be lost. But these nurses weren't just following orders. They were innovators. They developed their own techniques and protocols, turning the operation of this complicated machine into a finely tuned art. They understood its quirks, its rhythms. They could anticipate problems before they even happened. They weren't just technicians. They were the heart of the heart team. Dr. Lillihei himself credited them as being indispensable. He said they were smarter than the doctors when it came to running the pump. They were so good, in fact, that they became the world's first open-heart surgery technicians. They wrote the manual, literally. They trained the next generation of technicians, who then spread out across the globe, taking this life-saving knowledge with them. One of the most prominent of these pioneers was Lily Bautista. She was recruited personally by Dr. Lillihei and became his chief pump technician. She was in the room for countless historical surgeries, her steady hands and sharp mind ensuring the machine ran flawlessly. Another was Jean Tamano, who helped refine the procedures that made these surgeries safer and more routine. Their success was staggering. The mortality rate for these complex procedures plummeted. Children who were once given no hope of survival were now able to live full, healthy lives. And it was all made possible by this team of dedicated nurses who refused to be defined by others' prejudices. Think about the ripple effect. Every single open-heart surgery performed today, anywhere in the world, stands on the shoulders of the work they did. The techniques they perfected, the protocols they established, it's all part of the foundation of modern cardiac care. But for decades, their story was largely forgotten, a footnote in the history books. The focus was always on the famous surgeons. But the surgeons themselves knew the truth. They knew who the real unsung heroes were. This story is about so much more than a medical breakthrough. It's a powerful lesson about perception, prejudice, and the incredible power of opportunity. It shows that talent and brilliance know no borders, no accents, no skin color. It's a reminder that sometimes the people others overlook are the very ones who will go on to change the world. The legacy of these Filipino nurses lives on, not just in the operating rooms, but in the millions of lives saved by the procedures they helped pioneer. They faced down skepticism with skill and prejudice with professionalism. They didn't just lack modern training, they invented it. They didn't just join a medical breakthrough, they led it. So next time you hear about the marvels of modern medicine, remember the quiet, determined heroes in the background. Remember the Filipino nurses who, with steady hands and unbreakable spirits, helped teach the world how to mend a broken heart. Thank you so much for watching. If this story inspired you, please hit that like button and subscribe for more hidden histories. Let me know in the comments what you think. See you next time.